Hey everyone, how's it going? Azrin the Language Nerd here. Nice to see everybody. Today's one of our another How to Teach session, and I'm excited about this one. This is going to be another practical one. The past few weeks we've been doing some practical sessions, and then last week, one thing I decided. I don't think it happened in the recording. I think I decided afterwards, but for the people who attend in person, which is admittedly a small number. Usually we have one person who comes every week, and then we have a couple of others that kind of here sometimes, not here other times. But regardless, for those who are there for the in-person portion, which is kind of the non-recorded portion, we're gonna start. I think we're gonna start doing some actual like activities to practice teaching. Like we'll do a session where you in the session would have to like teach blah 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 concept in blah 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 language, and we'd like work on that together. So if you do ever want to attend in person, you're welcome to. Link is always, as always, in the YouTube description below. If not, well, that's fine too. I'm going to keep making these videos because I like it and it's fun for me. There can be 0 people that show up, one person. I don't really care. It's fun for me and I like it, so I will keep doing them for my own fun. So let me do a screen share. I have a nice practical thing I'd like to do today. Today we're going to learn a good activity that you can do. I'd say you can do it with kids, but probably better for adults. Teenagers and adults is probably best. Teenagers and adults. Really younger kids, you could do it, but it might need to be modified a bit. Yeah, it'll need to be modified. It wouldn't quite work the same way with younger kids, but definitely teenagers, adults, it works like a charm. And this is a great way to help someone improve their grammar and grammatical accuracy in their writing and in their speaking. I'll show you the written version first. So here we have our note file. This is our sample student, Sarah Johnson, that we've made in Google Docs. So there we go. Hello, everybody. I'm going to copy paste something into here right now. So let me just do that. So what you're about to see, copy and paste. I'm wondering how this is going to copy paste in there. Yeah, that's okay. That's fine. So did that copy paste with my corrections? No. Oh, I see what it did. Okay, that's fine. So this is something that a student of mine wrote. Now there's some weird. There's some of these that are not. It's copy and pasted kind of in a weird way, which I'll show you what happened in a second. But this is something they wrote. And what you do is you give someone a writing assignment, right? So this in English, I'll translate it. It says, your favorite magazine just published a report where, summarize it. Basically, they're talking about the internet. And the question they're asking here is, you're going to write an article for this magazine where you are sharing your worries around the internet, and you're proposing some solutions so that we can make sure we don't live in a very socially disconnected way. That's what this translates to. And I had a student, she wrote a whole thing on this topic. Now, in Google Docs, there's something called, if you click over here in the top right corner, you can switch over to editing, suggesting, or viewing. You're going to click on suggesting. Okay. And then what you do is you start to correct the mistakes. So let's say here, tout d'abord, je voudrais dire que je suis pas 100% contre la technologie et Internet, blah, 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 blah. Il y a beaucoup de... So here we go. This is wrong. This is incorrect. We're going to change it. When you put suggesting, it puts like a cross out like that. Right? And this should be d'outils. Right? And now you get a green kind of change, and you can track the change that happened. And so if we go and make a bunch of changes, let's say this is wrong. I'm just going to kind of make some random changes here. Blah, 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 blah. Let's say this needs to, oh, this actually does have to change, right? Right, we're going to get all these different changes, right? Maybe this is misspelled. This actually is misspelled. You make all these changes, right? Une manière. Maybe manière, that actually is spelled right. You make all these changes. Délai, I don't know what was happening here, but you make all these changes, you're going to end up with a whole bunch, right? A whole bunch of green stuff that's crossed out and all these different changes in the text, okay? What you then do is you count how many errors there were. You say, okay, this one had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 mistakes. Now, granted, there's actually more than 5 mistakes, only because when I copy pasted this, I copy pasted in kind of a weird way. When you copy and paste these edits, it doesn't actually copy paste the stuff it actually copies paste the stuff that's crossed out and the corrections. So there's some stuff here which is like really weird, but that's okay, no big deal. Let's say there were 15 mistakes, let's pretend, in this text here. So what you do is you're going to write at the bottom, right? Total mistakes, 15. And every single week when you have classes with this student, or even if it's multiple students, right? If it's multiple students doing it in a group class, doesn't need to be private. You look at it and you write the total number of mistakes, right? And over time, you're going to track what happens to the number of mistakes. So I'm going to give you an example. Like the student I copy pasted this from, the first one she did, I believe, at 27 mistakes or something like that. Let me just find it here. The very first one she did, I think it was 27 mistakes. Let me see. Yep, looks like 26. 26 mistakes. The most recent one she did, which was like not that long ago, actually. Let me just find it here. Had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So she went from doing, she had 20, I'm going to stop the screen share here. 20, what did I say? 26, did I say 26? I think it was 26. 26 mistakes in her writing. She was writing these little journal entries about different topics. 26 mistakes in her writing, all the way down to her most recent one, which was like literally not even a couple weeks ago, where there was like 5 mistakes in what she wrote. And she was kind of writing around the same length of stuff. So, and that was in the span of maybe a couple of months of class. We've really been working on her written grammatical accuracy. That's super impressive. That's really, really impressive. And it's really motivating for a student when they can kind of see very objectively, oh, wow, the first time I had 26 mistakes in my writing. The second time, or the last time, I only had 5. Wow, good job. I can do this. It's super motivating. You might choose, depending on the level of the student, to only correct mistakes with certain grammatical points. So for example, I was doing this with someone else recently, and we only corrected mistakes with their past tense and present tense mistakes. Those are the only things we looked at. Everything else, we just left them, didn't even worry about them. Only because in the class, we've been super focused on past and present tense, right? I have another one where we were looking at was it masculine, feminine? I think it was masculine, feminine. This is a while back. I'm pretty sure it's masculine, feminine, because they always got it wrong. And they were really strong at the language apart from that. And I was like, oh my goodness, we got to fix this. Like literally, you're so inconsistent with it that you may as well, whatever you think it is, you may as well guess the other one, because you're so inconsistent that you're probably better off going against your initial instinct. Like it was really, really terrible. So we worked on that. So sometimes you might pick a specific element that you're trying to correct and work on, but it's just a great way to do that. Use the suggesting feature in Google Docs, right? You do that, and you can visually, then people can start to visually see, oh wow, look, I'm making less and less mistakes. Very good activity, both private students or group classes. Best for teens and adults, not the best for kids, to be honest. You probably could do it for kids. You have to do it differently though, and I haven't done it with kids, so I can't really speak from experience. So that's a really great way for written grammar and to improve grammar in a written context. In a spoken context, you can do something very similar. And what you would do, let me grab this here. There we go. Let me grab something to write on it with. Here we go. What you do is you tell the student that is speaking. You can do this again in group classes or private classes. This can go either way. Group classes will require you to be a little bit more organized, but it can be done as well. Is you talk to the student or students, and you basically make a T-chart on a piece of paper. This, you can't really see it well because it's glaring, but you can maybe see there's a bit of a T-chart on there, right? like a T chart like that. And as the student's talking, on one side, you write all of the different things that the student said grammatically correctly. Now, I probably focus it on a specific grammar point. So maybe you picked it on past and present tense. You're listening for all the past and present tense conjugations. Maybe you're listening for a specific case because they really mess up their cases in such and such language. Maybe you're listening for pronunciation. Maybe they really always mess up R's in Spanish, and they can do it, but they just always forget, and they always just kind of make it a R instead of a R, right? So you're listening, you tell the student what you're listening for, and you write down every time they do it correctly, and you write down every time they do it incorrectly. So on one side of your T chart, you write all the stuff they did correct. The other side, you write all the stuff they did incorrect. Then at the end, you're going to tally up how many times were they correct, how many times were they incorrect, right? Maybe they were correct 15 times and they were incorrect. So this is correct. This is incorrect. Right? Maybe they're correct 15 times, incorrect 15 times. So that means that they had a total score of 15 on 30. Which is 50%. Not the best, but hey, it's a starting point, right? Then they can see, oh, I made 15, I made 15 correct present tense conjugations when I spoke, 15 incorrect present tense when I spoke. Oh, shoot, okay. Gives you a baseline, and you try to work on that as you go along, and you're working with those students. I'm also a fan of writing down. It's tough to do. You got to be really quick to do it because people talk sometimes faster, especially when they're some people that struggle with grammatical accuracy when they speak. They're the type of person who speaks without thinking. They kind of just get the words out their mouth, but they don't think about them before they speak. So sometimes they speak actually kind of quickly, so it can be tough. But if you can, write down what verbs did they do correctly? What verbs did they conjugate incorrectly, right? And write down exactly what their mistakes were and write down exactly what they got correctly. If it was masculine, feminine, write down exactly what they wrote down, what they said correctly in the masculine and slash feminine. Write down exactly what mistakes they made in the masculine and feminine. Often you'll see patterns and you'll say, oh, you always mess up, blah, blah, blah. I'll give you an example. Just the other day, I did this exercise with someone, and it was the strangest thing. 80%. The majority of the mistakes they made, for some reason, I don't know why, were all with they conjugations. So if you look at like in English, right, we have, or sorry, in English, in like Spanish, for example, you have like yo corro, ustedes corren, and it ends in an N, right? Or yo hablo, ustedes hablan, right? Or in French, like je parle, il parle. They sound the same, but they're written different, right? But they always made mistakes in that they conjugations, and I don't even know why, but that's most of their mistakes. So then you can point it out to the student after and say, hey, look, let's look at how you did on this. Wow, you did pretty good. You did whatever. Here's how many mistakes. Here's how many correct. Wow, it looks like almost all your mistakes were with the il form, the they form. Look at this. You made this mistake, this one. Wow, we should work on that. And then they know that they can work on that. So a very good activity you can do in a spoken format as well as a written format. I've done it in both. Really, really good. And the last thing I'll say on this is, and this probably goes to the very first video I made and the first post I made, the first session I ran of these. It's important to understand that it's important to consider the student's personality when you're doing these kinds of exercises, because some people, this is not the kind of exercise that they would really find that motivating or that would be very helpful for them. And certain students, it will be helpful for them based on their personality. So someone who's very like type A and goal oriented, and that's kind of how they think, something like this is like amazing for them because they can be like, oh, wow, I got 62%. That sucks. I want to get that up to 90%. And they're going to be kind of driven to get that up to a 90 versus someone who is more maybe creative, maybe more less logical, more go with the flow. Someone who maybe is interested, maybe less serious even, someone's less serious and kind of like a smiley, laughing all the time, like people like that. Maybe this may not be the most motivating thing in the world for them, and they may not attach to it the same way. I'm making generalizations. I mean, you gotta deal with that on a one-on-one basis, but as a generalization, maybe that's not as motivating, perhaps, because that's just not how their brain works. And what would help them work, what would help their mind work more is if you took a less logical approach and just focus more on having fun. Let's do some fun things. Let's play some games. Let's do this. Let's do that, right? Let's go to a restaurant and have the class in a restaurant, and let's check out the new Mexican restaurant that opened in the city, and let's have our class there today. Like, that's way more motivating for them and really helps them learn more than something like this. But still, it is a very effective kind of activity that you could do. So yeah, I guess we'll wrap the recorded portion of this up right here. We're going to do an exercise to practice this in a moment. So if you ever want to join these live, you're welcome to. I'll put a link in the description so you can get all the information for that. Tuesdays at 8:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. So that's the time we use in Calgary. And yeah, we'll see you guys next week. Bye-bye.